A lot of times when we see people acting in ways we do not understand, it's shocking. How could people kill in the name of religion or God? How could people oppress in the name of freedom and democracy? How could you just don't understand that other? And I just like, I get into confusion. Like, I don't get them. I don't get them. I don't get ISIS. I don't get people who kill in the name of God. I don't get, people who want to separate mothers from their children in immigration crisis these days. I don't get it. And one time I went to my friend, I was like, I just don't understand. And he said, well, are you willing to go to your own darkness to understand other people's darkness? Now, honestly, up until that moment, I didn't think that I have darkness. I call it like the Batman journey. You have to go into your own cave, understand the darkness inside. In order from that own understanding, you go to other people's darkness to understand their darkness. And from there, you communicate. And from there, you bring a new light, hopefully. And so I have a practice. He showed me this practice where it's in my home. I sage my home, but that's my thing. I put candles around me, and I put my mattress on the floor, or I just my cover on the floor, and I'm like silent, and I just put the soundtrack of the mission. It's just where what I learned is called a music journey. You can do it in other music. You can do it on only drums, only sticks, or only flute. But just 1 hour of your letting yourself go with an intention, and you're hearing a certain sound, and you say, this, my intention is to find my darkness or whatever it is you're looking for. And from there I go, and I let myself loose. It's a safe space where I do not judge the part of me that I'm uncomfortable with. So I allowed myself that space to experience it. Lord and behold, I went to arrogance. And honestly, if you told me that I was an arrogant person up until that moment, I would tell you absolutely not. I'm the most humble person. I work with the poorest of the poor. My dedication is the most marginalized people in the world. I am a humble person. And yet where I went to in my own space of exploring my darkness, I went to arrogance. Then I needed to decide. I need to allow myself to experience it, to understand it. That's the exercise, to understand your own darkness. And I have to tell you, I was like, when I let myself live my arrogance, I loved it. It felt excellent. It felt an entitlement that I can do this, and I can say this, and I can take this, and it's mine, and it's okay, and there is no prohibition, not allowed, or whatever it is. So I just allowed it, and it felt great. I was like, oh my God, that's how people behave, whatever they do when they are like chop, killing, deporting, whatever it is that they're coming from that arrogance where it gives them the entitlement. And from there, from my own middle of the journey, I'm like, so how do I change this? Like, if this tastes so fantastic, how can I ever tell anybody to stop doing that? And I realized that I actually need to respect. I start from respecting my own darkness. Instead of denying it and saying, I'm such a great person, I actually bring my darkness and say, hey, I have arrogance. It's sitting next to me. Is my darkness in here? And acknowledging that. And when I acknowledge my darkness and bring it from the caves into the limelight, I actually immediately take away the ability of the other who sees through it anyway and is calling it out and thus manipulating it for his or her interest. When I bring it up in here next to me, no one can manipulate it. No one can tell me you are arrogant. I was like, oh yes, I am. I know. It's here. I'm dealing with it. Yes, no one can tell me, oh, you're such an impatient woman. I was like, yes, I know I'm impatient. I know I'm arrogant. Oh, I know I'm angry. Oh, whatever it is. Rather than being ashamed of it, you actually bring it up and address it and talk about it and respect it. And this way, you take away the ability of others to manipulate them, to manipulate my own darkness or the darkness of others. I actually believe if we all do that, then we do not allow those who are manipulating and talking about, oh, this is what everyone wants to do. We don't give them the power. We own our own power and saying, this is my darkness and this is my goodness, and still I am against the deportation of mothers and separating them from their children. And still, I believe in this value or that value, whatever value you believe in. And still, I advocate for it, even though I know my darkness is here.